Intro! You ready?
Yep.
You doing the intro?
Nope.
Do it.
Nope.
Okay. Hey everybody, it's Gearhead Tour. I'm Paul.
And I'm Chase.
This is your first time here. Welcome to our channel. If you're a returning viewer, then welcome back. Today we're in Red Rock Canyon, just outside Las Vegas. We've been here all week. Today we're in the 2020 mid-engine Corvette. We're going to give this thing a ride, and we're going to do it starting right now. We're glad you guys are watching today. You're going to love this video. This car, I don't know, what are your first impression?
My first impression when we picked it up last night, I don't know, I was conflicted. Like, it felt big, it felt weird. And then after we got back to where we were staying last night and I got to thinking about it, it was because I was thinking about it being a Corvette, which this is a blank sheet of paper, you know, whole new animal here, you know?
Right.
This is a mid-rear, not a mid-front. So I just needed to forget about comparing it to every other Corvette I've driven and just start off from square one. And once I got my head right, and I've gotten quite a bit of wheel time in it, the more I drive it, the more I love this thing.
Right, the thing's completely new. I mean, it's a complete new platform. But what did you think of the look? We pulled up last night, it was kind of dark.
Obviously, we knew what the car looked like going into it, but at night in low light conditions from a 90-degree angle, it was like driving up on a Ferrari.
This thing does have a really way more exotic look than the previous Corvette.
Oh yeah.
I was a big fan of the C7.
Oh yeah.
Still am.
Right.
Especially the ZR1. I think that car's outrageous. I love it. This, though, is a completely different look. I think that's because all these rear engine, or what we call mid-rear engine cars, have sort of a look to it.
Well, it changes the geometry up of everything. I mean, when you put the engine back here, for, you know, this car, the driver's position is 16.5 inches farther forward than in the C7. And that's by necessity.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot left of the car in front of you. As a matter of fact, besides the bulges where the front tires are, you can't see the front end.
You're right. There's nothing to see out there. You look out the back, what do you see?
You look out the back, you see a rear view mirror, or what I prefer to use is the rear view camera. You can switch the mirror here to where it's actually a screen.
I don't know about this camera. Today in the daylight, I like it. Last night I drove this car and I couldn't get used to the camera view because it's flat. It's, you know, it's like looking at a TV screen, which obviously it is a TV screen in a sense. And it's just something about your eyes focusing on it. It's a little weird. But I think I could get used to it. Now, a lot of people complain about the rear visibility, and it is fairly poor, but no worse than any other rear engine car that I've driven. In fact, it's better than a lot.
It's better than a lot.
Yeah, it's better than a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this car, it's a V8, pushrod V8, LT2, the 6.2 liter. It's a small block, 495 horsepower, 470 torque. That extra 5 horsepower, the base Corvette is 490 horsepower. We got an extra 5 ponies because this is a Z51. The Corvettes come in 3 packages, the 1 LT, 2 LT, 3 LT, various trim levels. The Z51 package adds different exhaust, right? Some suspension tuning, right? This car has the mag ride, the magnetic shocks. Amazing feel.
Oh yeah.
The car, I love the way it drives.
Yeah, out here in Nevada, they use these little, instead of stripes, they use these little, the little rumble bump things.
Yeah, rumble reflectors.
Right, right. I mean, when you change lanes going across those, you hear it more than you really feel it.
Yeah, that's true. I hate these, by the way. 495 horsepower, that's enough to get you a 0 to 60, 2.8 seconds.
Yep.
Now, we probably can't get that here. We're out in the high desert. So, you know, we've got a little altitude. We probably couldn't pull one of those off today. But at sea level, 0 to 60 times, and 11.1 quarter mile, I think, something like that, maybe 123 miles an hour, I think, is the stats on that. You know, you can feel every bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All that horsepower, this thing still gets like 15 and 27 mileage.
Yeah, don't you just love modern technology?
Right.
8 gears will help keep those RPMs low.
Right, 8-speed dual clutch transmission. By the way, tell me what you think about the shifts.
When you hit the paddle, it's already in the next gear before your hand is completely off of it. It's almost intuitive shifting.
It's on the point of some of the best dual clutch transmissions I've ever shifted.
I've owned Porsches with the PDK transmission, which is kind of like the world gold standard of transmissions, and this is every bit as good, if not better.
There's no manual option.
Nope, no stick.
People get really butthurt about that.
Well, you know what? I mean, here's the thing. If somebody's butthurt about not being able to get a stick in a car, it's purely for nostalgic reasons. You're not going to outperform the modern technology, period.
there's fun. I mean, there's some fun in shifting those
it's
gears.
nostalgia. It's
right.
You know, going back.
But you
to
cannot
the day
shift. I can't even think about. I can't even think as fast as this thing shifts.
Right.
It's amazing. This car is probably a competitor for what would you say? AMG GT?
Not necessarily price wise, but it would come in well below that. But,
right. No, price wise, that we'll get to that price.
Yeah.
But I think this car is a comparison to say like a 911.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you know, McLaren 570.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. I mean, performance wise, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
The car is awesome. The price. I mean, when you get into it, the price, base price on this Corvette, $59,000. That's
bargain.
Incredibly cheap now. Right now, you can't get one for that. I mean, the dealers are marking them up, and the secondary market is blown up. But if you were lucky enough to pick one of these things up for 59 grand on a 1LT, that is a bargain.
Oh yeah.
Because you're getting a lot of car for your money.
You know, it's I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't pay $120,000 for one of these cars just because I don't think it would be a good financial decision. But you would still be getting your money's worth.
Right, yeah, if this car was 120 grand, it would be a fair deal. This car is a 3LT, so, and it's pretty optioned out. I think the only thing it doesn't have is the optional nose lift. Besides that, I think this car clocks in around 82,000, 81,000.
That's about right.
Yeah, and it's a nice car. It's an amazing value at that price, because this thing, it performs well. It performs, and it is on point with the appearance of a lot of exotic cars. Where do you say it lands in how well it looks? Like what is its, where does it live?
Oh, it's a great looking car.
Do you think it's on par with, say, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, that sort of thing as far as appearance?
Pretty freaking close. I would
agree.
say the Audis, the Audi R8, it's every bit as good, if not better looking. You know, you start talking about Ferrari and Lamborghini, it's close. It's close.
It's close, and I'll tell you what, it misses it by a little bit. Somehow it just misses by this much, but it's also not $250,000.
You're right.
Right? I can
the
have
low end,
yeah, I can have 3 of these. It's an incredible value.
And you know, the funny thing is, to that point, today cruising around, all the shooting we've been doing and everything, it's been getting every bit as much attention as I've got driving around in actual Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
We had that girl today that stopped by and went crazy. Took her for a ride. That was awesome.
Yeah, Elizabeth, she's with her family. They were on vacation out here.
Yeah, from Pennsylvania.
They rolled up on us while we were taking some beauty shots out in Red Rock, and she wanted to take a picture with the car, and you know, we did her. I would say not one better.
Yeah, it was fun. She was impressed. The whole family loved the car.
Yep.
What'd you think?
Amazing.
They couldn't get over it, and that's the thing. It does. It's a head turn. That's for sure. I was driving behind you guys last night. I could see people as you drove through watching the heads turn.
You know, stopping at red lights. You know, whatever it is, people are breaking their necks as they're driving by,
right.
You know, trying to get a look at the car.
Let's talk about some of the specifics of the appearance. What do you think of the front end?
Oh, the front end is great.
The front, to me, is a big winner over the rear. I'll get to the rear, but the front is cool. I don't know. I love the detail of the hood. It's almost like, it's like a stealth fighter.
Yeah, the
you know, like,
lines.
am I looking at, is this radar technology I'm looking at?
Right.
Very cool. It's got that, like, I don't know what people call the shark nose. It's got a really cool look. I love it.
Lamborghini-esque.
Yeah, very cool front end. Love the scoops. They're actually functional. The front end is cool. The back end, what do you think?
I like it.
It's growing on me. I'll say this, it's growing on me. The first C8 that I saw, I didn't like it. It's something weird about it. Like, it's too square. You know, a friend of ours here in Tantown maybe mentioned his idea was that he thought it looked a little too much like a Camaro. And, well, maybe it is, but Chevrolet, you know, produces a Corvette, and they sort of keep that design family going on. My personal opinion is a lot like yours. I think Corvette should break off and be their own brand.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and then they could build themselves, you know, like a true halo car. I promise you, there are enough people in America that want to have an American supercar, and they have the money to spend $200,000, $300,000 on a Corvette, you know, that is really next level.
Yeah, I think what they ought to do is very similar to what Dodge did with Ram. Still sold in the same dealerships, but it's its own brand.
And if you look at the way this car performs at its price point, can you imagine what Chevrolet could do if they could build this car to a $200,000, $300,000 level? It would be insane. What do you think about side view, profile?
From the side, it's really good looking. It's very aggressive, you know.
Yeah,
kind of styled in a almost looking like it's already going forward.
Right, yeah, it's moving fast, just sitting still.
Oh yeah.
The engine sound to me is amazing. I love it. It's got that, you know, push rod V8 sound. It's a little odd because it does sound more like a muscle car than it does an exotic. So it sort of has this.
Yeah.
Right. Now I've seen, you know, some clips of perhaps something coming up, this flat plane Z06 maybe coming out, and that had a completely different sound to it.
Yeah.
That's more like what you expect out of a car that looks like this. But maybe that's just something in our brains that we've got to get used to is, hey, the sound doesn't matter. Because I actually like the sound of this car. I love the rumble.
I do too. Yeah, the exhaust on this car is really good. It's got a nice deep tone to it.
What about the wheels? 19-inch front, 20-inch rear. What do you think of the design?
They're not bad for factory wheels.
Yeah, now there's two different designs. This one is not the Trident. I don't like the Trident wheels.
Yeah. These I like better than the Tridents.
Right.
I wouldn't
keep these on the car.
I wouldn't keep these on the car. I would get it home and I would pick up the phone and I would call Dave at Forgeline and I would say, Dave,
yeah, what do you got?
What do you got, buddy?
Yeah.
And but I wouldn't be embarrassed driving this around in the meantime or anything like that. You know, some cars it's like I've got to get these ugly things.
Right. Yeah, these are okay. I can live with them if I had to. This car has racing stripes on it. What do you think? I'll tell you where I'm at.
I would not go with the racing stripes on mine.
Right, I agree. There's something about the racing stripes that
cheapens it a little.
Yeah, that's it. It cheapens it. I don't know what it is. It brings its image down a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know, you think about what else has racing stripes on it. Camaros, Mustangs, you know, cars like that.
What? I've seen a Kia.
Yeah, especially when they're parked near like an AutoZone. The AutoZone accessory section.
Flames.
So there's 3 different suspension options on the C8. You can get what comes on the base Corvette, obviously.
Basic mode, yeah, basic suspension.
The Z51 comes with adjustable spring sets, so you can actually adjust the ride height on the vehicle if you wanted to.
And then, of course, there's the legendary
Mag Ride.
Right, and it's incredible.
Oh yeah, it's another one of those technologies that GM developed. It's just a home run.
They have a little tendency to understeer.
Well, a lot of sports cars these days, well, cars in general, but a lot of sports cars, they tend to set them up from the factory where they're biased to understeer because it's, you know, safer for people who don't really know how to drive.
Right.
I've been driving it pretty aggressively, you know, since we picked it up yesterday on multiple occasions. I've not noticed any understeer. Now, that being said, it's not that I've been going into corners hot enough that I'm necessarily...
You would catch the understeer.
I haven't been going into corners hot enough to start pushing. I've really been going into corners and getting hotter in the corner. So I've been experiencing a lot more oversteer.
I don't know if I would call that oversteer as much as I would call it you sort of drifted. Yeah, hooning around.
Yeah, I might be guilty.
You're a hoonigan. Are you allowed to say that?
Guilty as charged.
Let's talk about the interior.
Okay.
What do you think?
There's a few details that I'm not a huge fan of, but overall it's a nice interior.
I'll say this, the quality of the materials is a step up for Corvette compared to some of the previous models.
Yeah.
Going back, you know, I don't know what I consider sort of the darkest years of Corvette, from like, you know, the mid 80s on to, you know, all the way into the late 90s. I felt like a lot of the materials were too sort of cheap feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of the materials are really, really nice.
Oh yeah.
I love the stitching. I love the layout. I love the design. Now, that being said, I'm over here on the passenger side. This car is definitely driver oriented, because over here I feel like, you know, I'm in like COVID isolation over here.
Yeah, a lot of it is a very driver oriented cockpit. As a matter of fact, when they revealed the car initially, the designer said that the interior design was inspired by fighter jets, and they specifically named the F-22 and the F-35. And I get that. You know, like I said, it's very driver oriented, but it might have gone just a bit too far, because you almost feel, especially from the passenger side, cut off.
I feel isolated.
Right. It's not as bad over here because everything is oriented towards you.
I mean, I look over here and I have a button for the window.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing I think is this bridge here It's got all of your controls, you know, all of these buttons going down at the control, all the AC and heat and all that good stuff, your heated seats and all that. That is what really makes the divide in the middle of the car.
Yeah, it's a huge separation between the people. I'm not sure how much I like the climate controls on this bar. I guess from a design standpoint, it's pretty cool. They're at first a little confusing because I didn't know which one was the driver and which one was the passenger.
Yeah.
But I guess once you're in the car and you own it and you know that these are for the driver, these are the passenger, then you control.
Yeah,
and I can get in here as a passenger. I guess I'm not completely limited over here. I can control my own heated seat if I need to.
Yeah, it's just that whole central element right there, that bridge or divider or whatever they call it. Just not a fan of it.
The nav screen, which, you know, for me, 80% of the time when I need something happening on the nav screen in my cars, my wife is taking care of it.
Right.
Right. And so from here, I feel like that's out of my reach, and it's definitely oriented towards you. So it's like it's stay away.
Decent angle.
Passengers, stay away from it. Yeah. For the driver though, it's amazing. It's like it's all wrapped right around you. You do sort of feel like, yeah, you're in some sort of next level vehicle.
Yeah.
And by the way, the touchscreen works great. Like the sensitivity, the way
yeah, we've not had any issues where it's like it's not registering your touch,
it's very responsive.
or it's doing it before you've actually touched the button. It's set up really well.
Yeah, it's cool. What do you think about the seats?
I like them. I like these a lot. These are the GT2 optional
these
seats.
These are the 3LT GT2 seats. These are pretty nice. They're comfortable.
Yeah, you don't move around in it. If you're hooning the car or whatever, it holds you. I like them.
This car, space-wise, I mean, it's cozy, but it doesn't feel as small as, say, I don't know, it doesn't feel as small as like the Supra we just drove. I mean, I feel comfortable in here.
Yeah.
I feel like I could take this on a pretty good road trip and be very happy.
Yeah.
By the way, there's no door handle in this car.
Right.
It's electronic button you push to get out. And of course, if the battery dies, there's actually a handle down on the floor.
Yeah, there is an emergency release down on the floorboard.
Same on the outside, no handle. You reach under and there's a switch underneath.
Yeah, you're basically reaching underneath that big air scoop on the side, and there's your button down there. How
do you feel about the steering wheel? A lot of controversy.
So when we first picked the car up and I was first driving it, I absolutely hated it. Like I get that it's supposed to be like, race inspired and Formula One-ish, type thing. It's grown on, I don't know if I want to say it's grown on me, or maybe I've gotten used to it. Is what it is. It is great though if you're the kind of guy that just likes throwing your hand up there, because it doesn't go anywhere. But when you're turning, like driving in town and stuff like that, it's kind of screwy, when you're two-handing it or whatever, and you grab a big flat spot or whatever. I don't hate it. If they'd asked my opinion when they designed it, I would have probably not squared the top off quite as
I like
much.
the flat bottom.
Yeah,
I think I probably would have kept the top side. But again, it's not a deal breaker for me.
Absolutely not.
No.
Another kind of weird thing is how you select your gears in the car. It's not buttons, it's not a lever, it's these weird.
Well, the park is a button.
The park is a button, neutral's a button, manual mode's a button, but drive and auto are little like almost aircraft switches that again almost feel like a fighter jet.
You have to hook it and pull up.
Again, not any sort of a deal breaker, but it's just kind of weird. I've never encountered. It's almost like a Lamborghini on the like the Aventadors. You have to pull up the little thing and then hit the start button. It's almost like a safety switch.
I'll be honest, I like it.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah. It's got a 12-inch digital instrument panel. I like it.
Yeah,
I love it's bright, it's colorful, it's clear. It's got a lot of information. I love it in the different modes.
Yeah.
Right? There's a serious change between one mode to another. Some cars, you change the mode, there's hardly any difference.
Yeah, this display significantly changes from mode to mode. They're really cool. Especially obviously the cool ones are going to be sport and track because
they are the coolest.
Yeah.
I know there's a HUD. I can't see it from my view here. The HUD's pretty cool. Doesn't bother me. A lot of times I don't like a HUD up in front of me, but this one I find it okay.
It's pretty cool. Again, it's nice and bright. I don't have the same issue I had with the Supra where polarized lenses made it difficult to see.
Okay, next to the instrument panel, you got the infotainment center. We talked about it a little bit. 8 inches, very nice, very responsive. The thing is cool. Apple CarPlay, all the stuff you'd expect in modern cars. Weirdly, I find this completely odd in any modern car. The 1LT Corvette comes with no navigation. Like it's not even an option.
Right.
You got the 1LT? Sorry. And so I find that odd, but
yeah, for a $50-something thousand car,
right? I mean, I feel like it should have
up for that. Yeah,
it should have a nav. Every car should have a nav in them these days. One feature this car does not have is the nose lift. right? I think it's around an $1,800–1,900 option. This car doesn't have it. This car is pretty specced out with the exception of that nose lift. The nose lift, to me, where I live, I can't imagine, I don't even know if you could get this car in your driveway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even with the nose lift.
Right.
It gives you 4 centimeters, 40 millimeters of lift, which is a couple of inches. And even with a couple of inches, I don't know how you do it. I mean, you have a Corvette at home, you're driving in there, you know what it's like, and it's not as low as this.
Yeah.
This nose sticks out a lot further than yours, and so I think it's got a little more overhang, I think, in the front. I don't know how you would be able to get around just a normal daily driving in this thing without that nose lift.
Yeah, if you've got a flat driveway, it's not a problem. The issue is that mine's steep. One of the coolest features of the nose lift is that you can program in something like 1,000 different GPS locations for it to memorize, and it will just automatically lift the nose of the car when you get to it. So
right, so you don't even have to remember.
Yeah, if your neighborhood has speed bumps coming in and out of it, when you come rolling up, the car's automatically going to raise for you. If your driveway's steep, every time you pull up, it's going to just do it. You don't even have to mess with it.
Stereo in here, I mean, you can't beat it. It's a Bose, like 14 speaker stereo system.
Just stupid. Where can you even put 14
I don't know. I see a couple here. There's one behind me. So 2, 4, I see 5. I don't know where the rest of them are. Oh, there's probably one there. They're all over, but 14 speaker Bose system, it cranks.
So we have made our way to Mexico.
We've made our way to Mexico. Please ignore anything you see outside the windows.
Don't think you can see much outside the windows.
Okay.
But now we're going to talk about launch control.
Yeah, launch control. I love a car with launch control.
Absolutely. So the way it works on the C8 is that you put the car into track mode.
Right.
You double tap the ECS off button. Double tap.
Double tap.
You can pick any drive program. It doesn't matter. You then take your left foot and put the brake to the floor.
Like all the way.
All the way as far as you can push it. Same with the gas.
Floor it.
Okay.
Check.
RPM settle at 3,500. Hold on. Release the brake.
Jesus. I think I just got a head injury.
That's fun. That's the most fun you can have with your clothes on, my friend. And like all of our favorite infomercials, but wait, there's more. This car has a burnout mode.
Burnout mode.
Right, so what we do is we put it in drive, which we are already there. Same story as before. We stand on the brake.
Stand on the brake.
Pull both paddles. Full throttle. Release brake and paddles.
Oh, shit. Burnout mode.
Yeah, I would give launch in burnout mode 2 thumbs up for sure. So okay, we've driven this all around Vegas. We've driven it out at Red Rock Canyon. We've honed it a little bit. So that begs the question, would you buy a C8 Corvette?
Not only would I buy a C8 Corvette, I already tried to buy a C8 Corvette. I went down and talked to Chevy Dude Mike Davenport, and he gave me a timeline of about 2 years to get one because I wasn't, I hadn't pre-ordered. It was a mistake to not do it. And so I spoke to him about maybe getting a Z06. He said that's probably even going to be even further out. So yes, I would like to have one. I wouldn't pay a premium for this car over sticker because it wouldn't be a wise financial decision.
Right.
I mean, those guys paying $120 for these cars, $130, they're going to lose a lot on depreciation in 3 or 4 years, big time, because one of the problems with Corvette is obviously keeping it from being such a halo car is production, and they make a lot of them. And pretty soon this car will be, easier to get, and that's going to drive those prices down. So I would definitely buy one. I'm considering it. I need a new car. I don't know that this is much of a daily driver. That's what I'm replacing as a daily driver. I think you could daily drive this car.
Yeah.
You certainly could. I don't know that I would want to daily drive this car. I'd probably like to keep it a little set aside for a more special occasion kind of thing. But I would definitely buy one of these.
You danced all around what I was about to say.
Which is?
Not only would I buy one, I'm fairly certain in 3 years I'll probably buy one.
You're gonna wait for a little bit of depreciation?
I'm gonna let the guys with more money than me take that hit.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna buy it at a much more reasonable price point.
Right. I think I would like to personally hold off for maybe a Z06 or if they do a ZR1 or something along those lines. Maybe I've heard tale that there's going to be a Zora version of this car. Whatever that's going to be, that might be more along the lines of something that I might want to buy. But I'm like you. I'd like to maybe let everyone else take the depreciation hit and buy it. But this would I would definitely have a CA.
Yeah, I will be a CA on those.
Everyone out there, let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you have a Corvette? What do you think of the car? If you like what you see and you like this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the little bell. You'll get notified when we have new content. Go ahead and don't forget, like this video, and we'll see you next time.